So we are imminently expecting in the UK the arrival of a new channel called GB News. 13th of June. So this is going to launch in 10 days, less than 2 weeks, which is going to be a new news channel in the UK. And it has been pitched as like defiantly anti-woke, I think was the pitch that someone gave. Yeah, it has specifically been described as anti-woke. And it is led by Andrew Neil, who is let me see if I can find a clip of Andrew Neil. He's like pretty much headed the BBC's political content for quite some time, but also like owns The Spectator. He's quite an interesting figure on Twitter because people will tweet at him and go, it is ridiculous that Andrew Neil works for the BBC, despite the fact that he is very clearly a conservative, right? He owns a very right-wing magazine, and clearly those are his opinions that he's always tweeting, and he's always like, no, actually, you don't know that I'm a conservative. As Huit Legord is saying, one good thing that he did once do, and is, a very short list, is he did an interview with Ben Shapiro when Ben Shapiro's book came out in 2019, and brought up some of the things that Shapiro previously said, and was like, do you still agree with these statements? And at some point, Shapiro just walked out, was like, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm leaving, and kept describing Andrew Neil as like, a member of the lefty BBC or whatever that was here to stitch him up. When in actual fact, as we have previously discussed, Andrew Neil, let's look up The Spectator. I'm sure if we type in The Spectator trans, we will come up with some horrible opinions. Here we go. They have it as a tag because they like to discuss it a lot. There we go. They're currently going after Stonewall, which is the UK's, I think, Europe's like biggest LGBTQ plus charity. Julie Bindel talking about Stonewall and the silencing of feminists' voices at universities. Like, that is very much the vibe of The Spectator, which he owns. And so he is now sort of heading up GB News. And the idea is that it's basically a UK Fox News. And I think there was 2 of these pitched almost at the same time. But this is the one that has sort of won out. And it's got loads of slightly cranky people working for it. Andrew Doyle, who is like would describe himself as the sort of anti-woke comedian, I imagine. Let's look on his Twitter and see what comes up. But also runs there we go, like he's written a book called Free Speech and Why It Matters. He's like the comedian that's like, I can never get on, no one wants to talk to me. But he also has this like parody Twitter account that he runs called Titania McGrath, who's like just is like meant to be like a parody of the left or the liberals, etc. Who else is there? Tom Harwood. Tom Harwood's interesting in that there's sort of him and this guy, and there's also who's like Darren, what's his second name? Darren Grimes, who were like the 2 young people that decided that they would be like the token Brexit young people. And Darren Grimes is slightly more cranky, and hosts a thing called Reasoned, which I think the attempt was to make either a sort of PragerU or a sort of UK Turning Point, when Turning Point UK didn't actually really work. But he's now stuck doing these sort of basement videos where Tom Harwood gets to actually be on GB News. But it's going to be awful. Like, it's going to sort of take on the format which is much more prevalent in the US and doesn't really exist in the UK at all, I would say, where each show is like someone has a show and it sort of has a presenter that heads it up, which we haven't had so much in the UK, like maybe the odd one or two, but it's gonna be UK Fox News. Uruj Aklak, sorry about that, says I thought most of UK news channels were already right wing, and I think that's gonna be the interesting thing as to whether it survives. Actually, is there a market for this, or is the BBC and Good Morning Britain and is that audience just already catered for, and therefore will it not be able to survive?